What's up? G-Bros here. So, the ultimate M1 iPad Pro. What's an iPad anyway, and can it replace a computer? We'll talk about it in a bit, but why is this one called the ultimate? Well, this one that I have is pretty much almost the same as the previous gen, with A12Z Bionic, the same square shaped design, same finishes, also same size, which looks great honestly. I gotta mention though, this one is actually a little bit thicker and heavier, but it's not noticeable. I'm talking about half a millimeter thicker and 41 to 42 grams heavier than the previous gen. Okay, so one thing at a time. Performance wise, this new iPad Pro is just fast. Like everything you do is extremely faster and smoother. It comes with the Apple M1 chip with 8 gigs on the lower storage versions and 16 gigs RAM on the 1 and the new 2TB version. If you don't know, M1 is the same chip that Apple put in their Macs. So yep, this iPad is the ultimate powerhouse. We're talking about computer-like power. And I ran some tests to see the performance, and as you guys can see, in Geekbench 5 CPU test, this iPad is showing the same result as the M1 Max, which is even faster than the high-end 16-inch MacBook Pro. And the GPU test shows almost the same performance as the M1 Max, which is nearly half the performance of the high-end 16-inch MacBook Pro with a dedicated graphics card. Okay, so obviously this iPad has the power, and the question is, can it actually use all that power or not? I'm going to talk about it in a bit, but the first thing you notice when you turn on the iPad is this gorgeous display. Well, you get this new display only on the larger 12.9-inch model, and the 11-inch still gets the same liquid retina display. Which I think if Apple were to put mini LED on the smart iPad Pro, they had to increase the price, so the difference between the two wouldn't be so much, then they potentially lose a lot of sales. Okay, so what we have here, Apple call it Liquid Retina XDR display, which is basically mini LED technology combining with Liquid Retina display that we saw on Pro Display XDR, which will give you crispier image basically. So, what's the actual difference? Well, it just gets way brighter and you get true black. And basically that's it. But the result is pretty amazing. We tested iPad under the sunlight and this new display nailed it to be absolutely visible, even in this fully exposed condition. When inside, you only notice the difference when you put the two versions next to each other. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but what happens is you'll get sharper and more detailed image. You know, it's kind of like the old version has a blurry effect into it, but that's because it doesn't have true black. So blacks are kind of like dark purplish. And one more cool thing about the display is that, well, because of the aspect ratio, iPads always show the two black lines when watching a movie, which you mostly notice it at night or in dark places. But now, you can actually watch your movie at night without noticing the black bars, which I think is even better for your eyes. The speakers though, on the other hand, are almost identical to the previous gen, but the holes are less and wider on the new one, which I'm guessing it could result in better sound quality while holding the iPad with your hands. But overall, I noticed better stereo sounding on the new iPad Pro. On the cellular model of this year's iPad Pro, you'll get 5G. On the other hand, the new Thunderbolt port gives you up to 40 gigabit throughput, so you can use an Ethernet cable, 5G, or the new Wi-Fi 6 for internet, which makes this iPad blazing fast in terms of internet speed. Which means if you had experienced low quality FaceTime or Zoom, I think Apple just fixed this problem for you. You can also connect the iPad to the Pro Display XDR and do your work in this sleek 6K display. Although I'm not sure who would do that. The rear cameras are almost the same as the previous gen. It's exactly in the same place with the same size. But now you can shoot photos in a Smart HDR3, which is just better quality images. I wouldn't say you can get the same result as iPhone's cameras, but it's always good to get some upgrades, right? Anyway, one thing new about the front-facing camera is that it's an ultra-wide-angle lens now. It's extremely wide, but you won't notice it until you go to the camera app and zoom it out. As you can see, it's very wide. Okay, it's not actually good for taking photos, but the actual purpose for this was the new center stage mode feature in apps like FaceTime and Zoom. So center stage keeps you always in the center of the video call, and as the number of people increases, it detects faces and keep them all in the center so viewers won't lose your face anymore. And you can control it whether you want it in an app or not. So like you can actually set it to be on in FaceTime and off in Zoom. So with all these new features, you might be thinking the battery on this iPad Pro is going to run out sooner. But the thing is, this iPad has a slightly larger battery to keep up with the previous gen. That's exactly the reason that it's heavier and is slightly thicker than the previous gen. And even with the new mini LED display and one chip with up to 16 gigs of RAM, which actually crosses out any limitation on OpenDAP, and the new 5G, you get the same battery life. Alright, so you get the iPad Pro and you want to use it as a computer. Well, there are some cool accessories that could kind of do the job for you. You can get the Magic Keyboard, which has a small trackpad and a keyboard. You can also get an Apple Pencil, which basically gives you all that this iPad can do. Alright, we've talked about all of these new features. So now, the question is, can this iPad Pro replace a computer? Okay, so it all depends on the way you want to use this. Is it a computer you're looking for, or it's an iPad you're looking for? You know, you gotta have to answer that question first. But this device can almost do all of the basic stuff that you want to do with a computer. However, I still think it's better to go with those who actually own a computer right now. If you're someone who want to get a computer, and since Apple released this one, you've been thinking of getting this over a computer, let me tell you what. MacBook Air has got the same performance, and it's lighter, it's thinner, it's got larger display, it comes with a keyboard and a trackpad, actually a larger trackpad, and it's a computer. And at the end of the day, you'll be saving almost $500. So I think getting a MacBook Air, if you're looking to buy a computer, is actually a better option for you. But you know, it's a good device. iPad Pro is a good device, and you know, you can actually kind of put it as your computer, but it all depends on the way you want to use it. Actually, it all depends on the way you want to get use of the device you actually looking to buy. So I just wish we've got the Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and Xcode on iPad. You know, then we could actually decide, because you know, it had more features in it. You know, like you could actually code. You know, you could edit your videos, you could make some musics. But right now, it's just an app. It's just like a larger iPhone, just faster. So that's all you need to know about this iPad Pro. This is the ultimate iPad Pro. If you want to get an iPad, this is it. This is the best choice, and it's got all of these new features that I talked about. However, it's still the same iPad if you think about it. You know, the same design, doing everything even faster. That's gonna be it, guys. Let me know what you think, and whether you're gonna get it or not in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss our feature video about this iPad, which we're gonna be comparing this with the previous gen iPad Pro A12X Bionic. Catch you guys in that one. Peace.